paper?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. What is this concentrated?
Yeah.
What? You need... Yeah. I got some. If I can get your lighter later.
I don't know, man.
Alright,
Tough
woman.
trade.
No, wait. Go for it.
Should we get something to eat?
Yeah. Thank God. Still feel like a zombie.
I don't want to tell you this, but I have to. Yeah, I'm just sleeping.
What?
I'm gonna go to 10:30.
Weren't you on the... You just slept?
Well, I slept from 4 to 6:30. Woke up, got ready, which does not include a shower.
Well, you know what?
And then I texted him and I was like, I'm not capable of driving legally. Is that okay?
You know what? That is
she-
bullshit. Yeah.
Everybody ready? Omar in 1831. You asked me to write my life. I'm not able to do this because.
I got put it up here. Which one is it? My bad.
Oh, you good.
Which one is it on the jump
It's
drive?
the one in CEDA versus Quarters versus Oklahoma. Good.
I'm good.
Omar in 1831. You asked me to write my life. I'm not able to do this because I've much forgotten my own, as well as the Arabic language. Neither can I write very grammatically according to true idiom. And so, my brother, I beg you in God's name not to blame me, for I am a man of weak eyes and weak body. My name is Omar Saeed, sought knowledge under the destruction of Sheikh called Muhammad. I continued my studies 25 years and then returned to my home where I remained 6 years. Then there came to our place a large army who killed many men and took me and brought me to a great sea and sold me into the hands of Christians, who bound me and sent me on board a great ship, and we sailed upon a great sea a month and a half. And when we came to a place called Charleston in Christian language, there they sold me to a small, weak, and wicked man called Johnson. Now I'm a small man and unable to do hard work, so I fled from the hands of Johnson after a month and came to a place called Fayed. A lad saw me hunting, and another man with him on horseback came attended by a troop of dogs. They took me and made me go with them 12 miles to a place called Fayed, where they put me into a great house from which I could not go. I continued to the great house, which in Christian language they call jail. Even today, blacks are still being put in jail and definitely detained without democratic promise of redemption, as if it was ever made to. Even today, my cousin Jimmy is locked up 20 years at the age of 16 years old for a murder he did not commit. Let's not talk about Jimmy. Let's not talk about the countless numbers of my brothers and sisters confined to the ghettos of America, neo-slavery, if you ask me, where gratuitous violence lies on every corner, where politicians treat black flesh as trading cards when political FaceTime requires our mention. Speaking from experience in Chirac, we are all too familiar with war powers. What's more important, however, is the unique lens and standpoint from which we engage the question. In the spirits of great warriors that came before us, we find our resolve. Now listen. 6 years after the U.S. bill elected the black Democrats as a rejection of imperialist foreign policy, the white Republican commander-in-chief, brown and black whites around the world, including our hometown Chicago, still faces threat of extinction being targeted and killed. You're in 13. Our problems here in Chicago are no different from those of our people in South Africa, all over the world, where African people are located. The violence faced within African communities is a direct result of slavery and colonialization. The colonizers do not have to depend on illegal drug trades and dominant economic activity within their community as its major employed inside the African community. Those enslaved us enjoy the peace and tranquility that comes to being economically and socially secure. Africans suffer with lack lack of life-sustaining wages and livable employment and lack of employment period. Substandard schooling designed to miseducate us and keep us loyal to our colonial masters, void of any contributions back to the world, development, medicine, science, agriculture, and even politics. Inadequate housing where children suffer lead, pests, and insect poison and other ailments associated with indecent shelter provisions and harsh and sometimes unbearable weather conditions, consistent police harassment, murder, and brutality in and outside of our homes, improper or inaccessible nutrition and healthy food sources all contribute factors to the horizontal violence with our oppressed and exploited communities. Yet they question the anger and the rage, the pain, and the best Confederate cannot feed his family because he cannot find work or even utilize his entrepreneurial skills to produce income. The confusion and heartbreak of an African woman who has to raise her children alone, some even suffering consequences of rape and abuse. The constant, consistent disenfranchisement of our rights. Our lives are honored by the military occupation force known as the police. I recall a young girl, a sister from Chicago, told me of the housing projects and her take on them. I remember she said they were developing named the projects because they were just that, a project to stack mass Africans on top of each other in a centralized contained area and see what happens. The developments of at least 24 military-style police that once now being placed in communities to patrol along with actual tanks and assault weapons. This is no different from the U.S. military occupation that is happening in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, southern part of Korea, and African forces developed throughout Europe. Targeted killing is not only happening over there, but those people, war on terrorists, and daily communities to those of us who are always already in the crosshairs of Presidential War Powers Authority, Dr. D and 12. And seeking the science and critique of U.S. racism and militarism and imperialism, the U.S. has combined this war on terror rhetoric with the already existing war on crime rhetoric that was used to police black communities. Mass incarceration of black bodies became the primary site for science and black political possibility. This massive prison architecture radically redefined U.S. state buildings now be exported abroad in order to contain challenges to U.S. imperial power. U.S. imperial imprisonment abroad is a really logical extension of the dirty war fought in the U.S. through incarceration, torture of black bodies, the Bush era policies, war, racial panic, aggressive state violence were not departure from America's ideals, but rather the fulfillment of them through the figure of the Muslim post 9/11 security state march to racialize others as a unruly population that demand detention, deportation, and even death. Let's perform a thought experiment. What would Brother Malcolm do and say about the oppression of black people facing America? What would he say and do about the drone strikes on his Muslim brothers and sisters? How would Malcolm X read the current world condition? The exercise is not too hard to imagine or too futile to undertake. Correcting Malcolm X as a Muslim revolutionary, the problems that we face today have increasingly assumed Islamic disposition, the systemic transmutation of American civil liberties, the overwhelming presence of African Americans, member of disenfranchised communities, and the U.S. Army, evident racism at the root of American property. Every single American who thought the U.S.-led invasion of Afghanistan was a just war was responsible for the subsequent creation of globalized terrorist networks. Malcolm X had no difficulty demonstrating the regions being reduced to a shooting gallery, enduring entertainment of CGI-infested militarized imagination. The U.S.-led militarism Malcolm X will explain is not limited to the Middle East. The U.S. is now actively aiding in more civilian deaths, more millions of refugees on yet another front of the war on terrorism inside U.S. proper. Malcolm X will further add the catastrophic consequence of neoliberal projects are yet to be mapped out and thoroughly to assess the logic of capitalism. Always thinking on how to bank on climate change. These facts and human costs or consequences will be on Malcolm's mind and where his noble and defiant soul is still with us. Is within this context we affirm the revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X as a substantial restriction on war powers, authority of the United States, invoke the revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X, reinvigorate the struggle to dismantle white supremacy, U.S. imperialism, botch in 08, while inside jail, revisiting extraordinary life and short career. Malcolm X's Muslim revolutionary is important not despite his flaws and missteps, but in fact precisely because of the Muslims around the world today are where Malcolm was just before his historic John pilgrimage. Muslims seems to be in need of a pilgrimage there to face the abuse of power by warmongers outside and descending upon them. Malcolm X shared one revolutionary skin after another, reaching out for nothing but a consistently emancipatory project, seen in Islam not a matter of identity politics, but a matter of liberating promises. Islam for Malcolm X was a combative occasion, but infinitely more liberating, progressive, alive, a living organism. No Muslim revolutionary comes even close to Malcolm X in liberating global and visionary grasping his faith in its place in facing the barefaced barbarity of economic and military world domination. Perhaps because he emerged from the heart of that barbarity, perhaps because he was the direct target of his most racist ideas and practices. Malcolm X personified life of a Muslim revolutionary for generations. At the threshold of recognition where Malcolm has left us, it is at this threshold of his unfinished project, retrieving the legacy of Malcolm X as a Muslim revolutionary. The heart of a globalized empire shows in his character and his culture. He represents a radical epistemic shift. No globally minded liberation movement will have any legitimacy without categorically including the disenfranchised communities within the U.S. Exactly as Malcolm X realized, the United States is a microcosm for the world writ large. Malcolm X links any global conception of the Islamic liberation movement to the heart of the most progressive uprising wretched of this earth. As such, Malcolm X is a singularly important rebellious character whose conversion to Islam and massive epistemic shift that occasioned in the course of his revolutionary career is yet to be properly understood and thoroughly theorized. Malcolm X is the most critical link necessary between the alienated colonial corners of capitalist modernity and disenfranchised community within its metropolitan center. In his revolutionary legacy, as a result, we already have a radical bridge connecting the center and periphery of the globe that's no longer thus divided. Treating his character as a critical character as a Muslim revolutionary is thus quintessential to any assessment of the Islamic liberation project. On for God's sakes.
Who's the last card you said?
Debachi. I mean, yeah.
What was his name?
No, it's just the affirmation of, you know, the revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X. And it was just talking about the way in which Malcolm X represents a catalyst or a platform for a host of different struggles in the status quo. Like things dealing with, you know, instances of like the horrors of modernity, the way in which, you know, violence is happening in Chicago.
The first question is, I think the most obvious question is like, why was Malcolm X chosen for the 1AC?
I know Hakeem has his reasons, I have mine. Like for Malcolm X, like reading his autobiography was like the first like step in really raising a critical conscience for me. So he has like a symbolic like meaning to me. But just like I guess in terms of like this debate space, we think he would provide an excellent platform toward effective resistance strategies to the horrors that that people face in society. I'm sorry?
He'll provide a platform?
Yeah, an excellent vehicle to understanding the bar-faced barbarity of modernity.
Made me like sound like you're running for election or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
No, that ain't what I'm talking about though. No. I'm just saying through his life you can like combat a lot of different modalities of oppression. It ain't like he's running for office. He's anti that shit.
Yeah. But I'm asking like, how was Malcolm X, the methodology of Malcolm X is, from what you said, the 1AC used amongst the people?
Right. I mean, specifically the Bachi evidence indicates Islam for him was a living organism. Like it was the way in which he was able to combat the horrors of modernity. So, and that can be a good platform toward, you know, looking at resistance and oppression in the areas isolated as per the 1AC.
On the Debashi evidence, so we're talking about revoking his revolutionary ideas. Wasn't his revolutionary ideas like tightly implicated within Islam?
Like what do you? Yeah,
like his ideas that he had with about revolutionary. I think it was through the lens of Islam, right?
I think his politics in terms of revolution. Right, I think it has something to do with like also his evolution within Islam. I think that's important. It's a trajectory.
So my next question is, when it comes to revoking these revolutionary ideas or whatever, what if the individual who's trying to revoke these revolutionary ideas is not Islam?
Wait, right. That's why I use the word platform, not like no political stuff, but like in an instance, just a way in which we can like, you know, begin those conversations. Like we think Malcolm X is a correct lens to look at how can other approaches be useful to via his engagement when facing with people with opposition. How like he grew in that area over time and was able to.
I got one last question. You know what I'm saying? Remember we talked about, you know what I'm saying, the reading that we did before we got here. You know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, with that the black woman in the community that's asked us to do is read or whatever. Right. Just curious or whatever. Like where will black women fit in Malcolm X's movement of revoking these revolutionary ideas?
I mean, they essential. Like as per like the top of the 1AC, we talk about the ways in which, you know, African American black females, like the instances of like the horrors of modernity in Chicago, like it still inflicts them, and we think Malcolm X to be a good vehicle for like all our people to like, you know, resist. Yeah, 45 seconds.
Are you gonna speak from right there? Are you speaking from there?
Yeah.
Alright.
Anybody got some extra, like extra pen? Yeah, appreciate it. Oh, No, it's all good. Yeah.
Got it? They don't know their language. I say, they don't know their God. I said, they take what they're given, even when it feels odd. I say, they saw their grandfathers and grandmothers work hard for nothing. Hey, cause we still in this ghetto. I said, so they end up in prison. Oh, I said, they end up in slums. I said, there's way more to this debate shit. You come in contact with somebody real, it gets blatant. Your mental, affect your body, bones aching. I'm from Cali, so I'm kind of used to my world shaking. Look, conversation get better when your heart's attached. Andre had called me, said, yo, 90 had a heart attack. I said, I'm on my way to the tournaments. I'm hot, I'm blood boiling, but kings don't cry, you looking. You better hold it in, always prepared to have your body in shock. Used to having cars, the ambulance is always on your block. I said, I'm ready to fly back home, cause balance don't run me. I said, I called my 90 phone as I talked to her. She sunned me. She said, you better go to that tournament, scream the truth, high pitch. Matter of fact, you better tell the world about me. Dry snitch. Tell the lessons that they missing that your whole hood can share. At the bank room becomes class, at your whole, becomes a message that your whole hood can hear. Plus my heart is getting stronger knowing you speaking with no fear. These are ways that you can help me even though you're not here. Reminiscing on my cousin Carlos, the story of a loc. Bagging became serious. School became a joke. Told me these niggas is trying to kill him. He's surprised he's still afloat. As close as a call can get him, and the bullet went through his coat. His homeboy was right by him. Got hit with a few hard. Had my mama let him take the whip. That nigga shooting my mama car, say I'm tripping. It got me thinking about my mama now, cause the niggas that probably did it probably been in my mama's house. It's just the life of a nigga. But don't nobody care about a nigga mouth. Matter of fact, all they try to do is take a nigga out. I said the arguments they bargain with or run a nigga out, but even if there was Paru, I said they still ain't gripping out. So understand, when you come in real, it gets blatant. Just understand it way more to this debate shit. I said trying the experiences of the Islamophobia of Malcolm X to the ballot commodifies blackness. The experience is fungible, and is that subject to the violence is transitional capital reduces blackness to a state of reserve. We refuse to identify with those values and structures of the debate as an affirmation of that locks the nigga being into the performances of being a nigga. It becomes that marketable object as a limit of effectiveness and the potential of niggas. Judy 94 says, a nigga being a nigga, knowing the difference between required understanding. I said, Ice-T claims I'm a straight up nigga. Whether the OG points out the process of consuming raps and talks about the niggifications, the white suburban youth, and does more than the thing of remarkable and inability to popular culture demonization. I said, this is the age of hyper-commodification in which experiences now become commodified. Commodification, a nigga designates the semen war, par excellence, and commodifications, which among those commodities. In his rhymes, his experiences virtually are involved in commodified the affect experiences of nigga. He's I'm a nigga. Not a colored man or a black or Negro, African American, shit of all that. I said, yes, I was born in America, true, but does East Oakland look like America to you? I said, I'm a nigga. A straight up nigga from the hard school. A nigga in America, that much I flaunt because I see what I like. I said, I'll take what I want. I said, I'm a nigga in America. That's probably why I ain't bitter, because everybody's a nigga to a nigga. I said, the nigga's concentration on the exchange of experience for affect is the identical way a bad nigga jeopardize the community by existence while having the unidentified free experience. A nigga forgets feeling recognized and said the affects are commutable, particularly the hardcore hardcore ones, anger, rage, and intense pleasures belonging to those millions of others. An accelerated moment of the consumption is the same affects, the passions, the empathy, and the possibility for a nigga to rest upon a twofold experiences. We cannot be sold. It must be abstracted process of the formulated functions of transitional capitalism, the hardcore gangster raps, the traffic, and affect, not values. I said, drawing is a web of real nigga experiences to represent those affective constituents of a nigga. I said, this is the next level finale. This is where I said, they sit and think in the chair. I said, they sit and think in the chair. My next level shit is dangerous. It's just a verbal affair. It's reflecting my perspective. But the shit they don't care. They motto so hollow. Misguided adolescents on they missing out on lessons. Our souls is being shattered while they in search for the ballot. They be caught up in the hype. I say they solving sees a lie. I ain't these other niggas, cause these niggas is fake. They ain't popping shot. These niggas is popping die. Helicopters over my head. I'm thinking about it lightweight. I said, I want to get out of here. Tell me do it the right way. Mark was in the grave. We trying to figure out who next. I said, life is slamming me down. I'm feeling like a suplexy dead up out to my throat. Money like a crew neck. I said, we got to get an outfit, but they don't suit us. I said, yeah, they do it right, but make sure you don't do it right. Pay attention to what you Erica by doing. Give them the light. If you was put in a position, then why do they blame us? See, the advantage is that these white folks really can't tame us. Niggas been so many guns, the police backing up. These black folks are at each other while these crackers cracking up. I said, I hate them when they make up shit, when they code switching. I told them if they in the cage, and it's going to be cold business. You can't read a card and tell me how you want the code switch, because if you ain't speaking from the heart, there's really no switching, because Deion's still in Detroit, and now he doing it big, and mine's still up in Oakland, and now she raising the kid. Demetri moving on, Tony protecting the hood. I said, Greg was better than all of us. He might be stuck in the hood. Elisa Ed Weaver, I hope her pockets get greener. I remember when she was serious, I hope the world could see they genius. Let her look up to me, see I'll be begging for my kids. Hope he come up in this shit and do better than I did. I said it all day and I mean it. I said, I'm meaning this. If it ain't meaningful to the next level, I swear it ain't meaning shit. See, I don't know how they started me. That's how I wrote about the hook and big party with me. What it means to be a nigga. It's not a moral question. It's an existential question of what it means to be human. Judy 94 says the status of being both rooted in experiences and available approximation of the nigga is a function by the diverse quotations of the experiences, and experiences authenticated and invaluable resistance to dominant forms of power. However, this crucial aspect of hardcore rap, how to strive to expose and problematize those technologies of the government, constantly becoming an expression of overflowing energy and pregnant with the future. Moments of appropriation, transversal economy appears, and a single comprehension and diluting the hardcore reclaiming the source. When public entity release don't believe the hype in 1989 and will market the popular culture and itself and technology of the government. Nigga defines authenticity and adaptation to the form of commodification. Authenticity is the producer value of everyday is precisely because the displacement of political economy and economy is engendered by those virtues of the relation to why it's protected the commodification of African Americans. It knows himself as collective identity, particularly and politically and historically threatening reality. Authenticity is hype. It's a hyper commodification aspect in opposition to the cultural movement throughout the symbolic faces of political domination. Nigga, it's not an existential identity, strategic or otherwise. Rather, it indicates a historicity of an indeterminate identity. The question is not whether a nigga can be authentic or whether a nigga can be inauthentic. It's the question of whether a nigga can be can exist or not exist. In other words, the nigga's a process of problematizing those concerns of me's. The bad man, the bad nigga, those problematize those concerns and structure of relation to humans. The governmental, that is the formula cast of the formation of authenticity. I said hardcore niggas returns to the existential preoccupation, which is the difference between the subject of knowledge and the subject of experience. In these terms, question of nigga authenticity is an ontological question about those priorities of the human being. It is those structures that us continue to do without those things to create those types of consciousness that are possible. I said in reading this black context, it is the ministry that emotes in authenticity, formatted, but the nigga that becomes wrapped up behavior, the good works that they are founded on, the morality, the government, all those habits of thought. It's the demise of black morality that is recognition of the obstacle matters of the possibility that inhabits the thought of the human being. I said the first thing is, which is the crucial dissent to the what they see, is the idea. I'm gonna quote Huey. When Huey got out of jail, he quoted the people, said, the people freed Huey, right? He said the only thing that he regret is that he could not articulate to the people enough that if the people freed him, all they needed to know was they were able to free they could free themselves. He said the greatest crucial block to black liberation is that people believe that they need to have a leader. This is the crucial dissent to the idea of Malcolm X being the head of the one AC. It's not to say that ideology of Malcolm X's strategy is a bad methodology. It's to say the propaganda of has a disadvantage to where we are not seeing a liberation inside ourselves individually as people to where we cannot be commodified inside that space. The second thing is the question of how we influence those ideas of gender and the black women inside those liberations. The third thing is a redeemable subject. They make the Malcolm X, when you think about him as Malcolm X, he seems like a redeemable subject. Now understand that he was a nigga way before he went to jail as Detroit wed. Those things of deconstruction of that system was never be able to be a redeemable subject. He was only a redeemable subject to where people can see how they can get get benefits off of, get some producive of labor. And the third thing is that Malcolm X is the idea of propping up Malcolm X always leads it to where he can be killed by COINTELPRO that infiltrate people that understand how it was propped up. This allows for these old people to kill him because those ideas of, generally said simply, all the impacts that happened to Malcolm X happened because he was propped up and he got so famous. Those ideologies of putting him into the center stage of the revolutionary strategy always is an impact to him getting killed. Reason why you shouldn't go to first.
Like, explain to me, like, I guess, like, why not, like, what's about the, like, I guess, like, nigga aspect, like, how does that function in this case?
Essentially what's happening is that we talk about how hypercommodification, even the 1AC talks about hypercommodification. Right. We say he's targeted by racism. He was always targeted. We identify how blackness is only, being a nigga, being black inside of America is always something that's a production for civil society. It's just generally identifying how Malcolm X is used inside of space. Our different people, revolutionaries, are used only for what they can produce for the people. And nigga affect is saying we can be revolutionary through that hypercommodification that already is, that you already know is not unique. They say there's this affect inside of this space. We step inside space when they feel my speech. That the identification of how the ballot functions is not a hypercommodification of niggas, rather is a reflection of the affect.
I don't understand, like, why, I guess, the affect of us or in our reading of Malcolm X is, like, muted via the ballot. Like, you indicate, like, some fungibility, like, argument of the flesh, but I don't understand, like, how the affect, the nigga affect resolves that question for you.
First of all, it's a dissent to the starting point. You know what I'm saying? The identification of how the starting point goes, it narrows things down into a linear way of seeing that this is the only way that you can be a revolutionary. This is the articulation I'm talking about.
Was that the 1AC?
No, I'm identifying when you say inside a cross-section an explanation of why Islam, you said that this is a good platform. This is a good starting point. This is where we should begin.
The life of Malcolm X.
No.
Like,
not the life of Malcolm X.
The life of your people, like when you list that shit off at the top?
Yeah, when we talk about the life of Malcolm X, his life didn't begin with Islam.
We go through a whole genealogy.
I know, I'm identifying that, and we're saying that your starting point is flawed from that genealogy.
Actually, it's a better way of saying it or whatever. Like, the idea of a starting point is what we're kind of critiquing at or whatever. But though, I want you to get caught up on the nigga affect shit. What we're literally saying is that when you say we have to invoke the revolutionary ideas or tactics of Malcolm X or whatever, how that revoking happens or whatever, that revoking is a process of revealing. You know what I'm saying? You revealing what Malcolm X is gonna do for everybody. So when, like, Malcolm X revealed
himself, he got targeted because he was revealed. That's what you said about when they see he got targeted.
He's like, take your hand out of my pocket, and he gets shot. That came through his revolutionary ideas being revoked by everybody.
Is being a martyr and dying for a cause, is that bad?
Shit, I would say that.
I would say it trades off with the revolution.
Malcolm X
everybody being able
daughters who lost their father or whatever. Yeah, huh?
Should we be willing to die for a cause?
Yeah. I would say it trades off with the daughters, and I would also say that the martyrs are not unique. I would say we have to come up with a strategy to how everybody can be their own individual martyrs. If you're trying to say martyr is good, I think
you bring up that martyr shit, you have to distance you too, though, because then we get locked in the process of being martyring. I can only be a martyr type shit.
But we die now. If we win the question of solvency, that, like, you know, dying in terms of like a liberation, like,
yeah, I got you.
Dying would advocate revolutionary suicide.
Hey, but hold on.
I get what you're saying. Dying is not unique. We're talking about strategy.
But agreed though, death is the intention what they want to the black body. Agreed. The whole reason of racism, white supremacy, is to kill black bodies. Agreed.
Where did you include, like, black women within, like, your spit?
The first thing that come out my mouth was Erykah Badu, black woman.
So that's the threshold.
No, it's not the threshold. It was a question.
Listen, wasn't. Never mind.
Well, I'm about to say I can answer to you. You know what I'm saying?
Making an argument about
I ain't trying to put no pressure on you. It was just it was a question that was performed to see the inclusion. It was just an example. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, let me get the rest of that Judy Evans.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate it.
Got all of it?
Is this the one?
There's only 2 ones.
Yeah, I really think.
Yeah. So, yeah, this one. Music.
I got it. Appreciate you.
I have a question. Can one ever discuss the oppression of black people in white audiences or multiracial spaces that are ever being like fungible?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're not talking about the white audiences as the reason being fungible.
And we're not talking about oppression. We're talking about revolutionary tactics and methods.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's do it with the white audience. Let's go be there. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be better. Process. Yeah, that's fine. Now, the stop crop, we got 456 units. Yeah. Yeah.
504.
After subtracting from 9.
Oh. Huh? Now?
456 units.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'll get it.
419.
Nah, man, I don't want your car. High key card, man.
I mean, yeah, I think he's absolutely correct.
Doesn't help us if we're giving the wrong guy.
Do we know that name? Sure. I think it's position. I'm obsessed with it. It's like wildly interesting.
Everybody
No,
good?
but the debaters are being asked for yours.
Is every,
Well, they have a cookie jar.
is everybody good? It's gonna be like a case overview and like to the particular.
Say case overview and then to the particulars.
You heard it?
It's the 2AC versus, is it like the same title?
It's called 2AC versus OK. Versus
So many damn.
Oakland.
I say Oakland. You got it?
I got it, bro.
All right. Malcolm X said that if you were black in America, you were already born in jail, already indefinitely detained in the status quo. When they talk about commodification, you have to really question the uniqueness about this. Can we ever discuss, revolutionary tactics without it being commodified? If not, how does this not link to the whole poetry when the whole Judy Evans is discussing how rap is always commodified by white suburban kids? Meaning this links to them just as much as it links to us. And all we have to do is win that Malcolm X life that is worth stating, that he has something valuable to contribute in this revolutionary struggle. Here was a man coming from Detroit called Detroit Red, running the streets, on drugs, involved in prostitution, all of these activities. Yet he after going through prison, got educated, started studying, got out of jail, and he rooted himself in a conflict which is shaping the global war, the so-called conflict between Islam and the West. And our debauchery evidence says that Malcolm X, in terms of Muslim revolutionaries, he eroded every binary that Orientalists try to put upon Muslims. And that is why he's significant, because not only in the struggle against anti-blackness, but also in the struggle against Islamophobia and how that operates in the status quo. When we talk about war powers is not just military. War powers is also economic. Malcolm X, part of his revolutionary idea, he talked about creating black businesses in the black community. Talked about setting up that establishment. He talked about, protecting ourselves, protecting black women, protecting, us against the oppression that we face through. That how all of this is key to, fight the oppressions that occurs in the status quo. Go to the particulars. In that, when we advocate the revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X, that is a form of restriction. Go to the particulars of the case. First link to the when they see reliance to the nigga effect is already carbon and structure of white supremacy or arcany. 13, the theoretical implication of Roach argument leads us to a new understanding how race and effect are produced by finds the indication that some children come into being and come into being precisely through finding sex and striking theoretical implications, especially for black striking subjects, black both aesthetic and finds exist as forms of cultural expression wherein the question of blackness is the action of the plot of the world. And this is where the Roach definition of race occurs at a structural level rather than that of identity marked by and through performance, representational strategies, performance, accessories, expenditure, a charge effect in the service of performatively engaging by this effective charge mobilizes that which is not fully redeemable, understandable, legible, or visible as an indication of bodies are marked through performance like bodies are not marked. They are structurally positioned as that is which is already saturated with violent meaning effect here and takes an unprecedented turn away from that which has potential for either hegemonic or performative rupture toward a more striking accusation. The effect is already structured by the very anti-black violence that forecloses the recuperative possibility of performing identities and instead circulates the performance as a violent affirmation of the structural captivity of blackness. Also, its non-unique black bodies were already utilized as fungible objects in the status quo. Only a risk that through the revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X we can actually fight back against this commodification. This is Dr. D. 12 racial anxieties concerning the threats posed by Muslim terrorists abroad have been projected onto the spirit conscious of racial and allowed the black Muslim is being coded under the lens of black criminality and the deep seated anxieties that this causes within white American U.S. political culture in the age of mass incarceration and the war. Terror has an enemy within saying black Islam resurrects CDL fears in the United States because of the historic limited sight of resistance to U.S. state power in both its domestic and global forms. The specter of the threat is deeply rooted within fears of black conversion to Islam. Conversion involves a radical redefinition of self that signifies the meaningful attempt to resist the legacy of chattel saving the racist history of the U.S. state building that gave slavery birth. As Chuck D, a public enemy, argues, if people with African roots are connected to Islam, then you have a problem of taking your slaves away. We lost our slaves are in the international. Now the lost demands that black Muslims be monitored, police, and discipline as the fundamental threat to America's racial logic and its maniac desire for control over black bodies and destinies for Muslims like Malcolm Little, who got his ex inside, or H.R. Brown, who in the 1970s became Jamila Abdullah Al-Amin. The prisoner becomes incorrigible for a rejection of that imposed master narrative of not being the subjection of blackness through chattel slavery, disenfranchisement, and social death upon which America owes me the rest. And prison is about disappearance and erection, and conversion is the kind of ontological resurrection against the social civic death, redefining what exists and challenging the reveals is a greater anxiety about the history and legacy of black Islam, one which has continuously challenged racial control. Also, we're going to be winning that also to answer the Huey Newton this that listen. When we talk about a black leader, we're not saying we need some monolithic black leader that everybody needs to follow. All we're saying is that Malcolm X, his revolutionary project, it was unfinished. And we are continuing that legacy, not as, some black leader that everybody must follow, but his revolutionary ideas. And even there's also a double turn when they try to, point out Huey Newton. Huey Newton, he would advocate what's called revolutionary suicide, that you should be willing, to die for a cause. And that's pretty much inevitable in the status quo. If you want to fight against white supremacy, if you want to fight oppression, you got to face the willingness, that you may not live to make it. And this is where the importance of spirituality comes in, because we're going to be winning. That slaves, they always use spirituality to sort of resist oppression. And this is a historical example I gave with Omar Saeed. Also, even on the slave ships, you have the conception of the afterlife. And this is what happened with, black slaves on the holds of the ships. I'll give in 13. A copy of Surah Quarter from the Quran that belonged to one of the revolting Muslim slaves of the Bible, and it is written in a traditional West African style of Arabic. The revolt was to take place after the Fajr dawn, a prayer on January 25th, 1835, which was the 27th of Ramadan, the most probable day for Layat al-Qudar, the night of power when the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. The Muslims of Bible chose this date in hopes that the heights of spiritual state of the community would lead to greater chances for success. The Muslim revolutionaries from this mosque marched out of the mosque ready to begin the revolt. In the dead of the night, they were dressed in a long white those tunics and kufi skull caps that clearly identified them as Muslims. Important enough that the single defining factor for the revolt was its Islamic character, was organized and led by Muslim scholars, explaining the Muslim mosques supported by a large Muslim African population. Without Islam as a unifying factor, such a revolt never would have been possible, nor would it have the effect that it had been so great. Furthermore, Islam continued as a strong force in Brazil for decades. The violent Brazilian reaction to oppress Islam in the aftermath of the revolt did nothing to stamp out Islam. It's estimated that in 1910 there was still over 100,000 Muslims throughout Brazil. Is a testament to the strength of the Muslim community of Brazil and their dedication to Islam. Now, when they talk about, what about black women? Listen, Malcolm X, his mother, right after he got, after his father died, they put his mother in an insanity home, and that natal alienation that happened was like the root cause of the sexism in the black community, because of the separation between the black man and his black mother. Meaning, studying Malcolm X's life is key to understanding how patriarchy operates in the black community. Not to mention, his revolutionary wife, Betty Shabazz. After Malcolm X died, Betty Shabazz, she said in order to, to prove herself and keep going, she had to go make the Hajj. She had to go make the pilgrimage, just like Malcolm X said. And all of this is key to understanding how oppression operates and how it happens. Now, you can read that, what you said, bro.
Their Judy evidence indicates that basically the end point of Judy is to access a new, ontology via niggerdom. That ontology is not able to happen because at the top, she lists all the reasons why blackness is commodified, but just ends at this new ontology. That does not happen. The only thing that happens is fungibility of the flesh. That's where Islam comes in, because it's able to access something that is transcendent of the way in which society is structured. Again, cross-apply the evidence that was just read into CEDA indicates Islam. That Islam is rooted within the black experience, that under the libidinal economy, they seek to sever that relationship. It's not a class of civilization, but what needed is to look at the lens of Malcolm X and his life and the rootedness and essentialness of Islam, because it was already within the black body. They seek to sever that, which is the only way to transcend our situatedness in modernity. hip hop music is commodified. That keeps structural inequalities going.
All right, I'm gonna read some evidence from what he just said. Whiteness creates false idols of anti-blackness. Only the embrace of transcendence can effectively combat this false idol. Jackson 11. Fitness, a play on the human condition, is not aimed at human weakness. Fitness is rather a play on the inalterable fact of human contingency. It proceeds and capitalizes on the knowledge that humans are susceptible to being disputes of their will to acknowledge even the most basic truth. Islam's foundational principle: there is no God except God. The proper response to the problem of human contingency is not to seek to overcome it, but to resist and oppose this false mystery, tremendous and recreation, both its subject and its object. Become clear that opposition to white supremacy, or for that matter, any supremacy, including male supremacy or supremacy on the contrary, opposition to white supremacy is being embraced as the manifestation of the ultimate allegiance to God and the preservation of God's status as the only contingent definer of ultimate value. And going back to the slave narrative, you know what I'm saying, the slave rebellion that I just read about, it all discusses how, you know what I'm saying, transcendence is key to disrupt white supremacy, meaning that you're going to vote affirmative to embrace for that methodology.
What's the methodology of the ad?
The revolutionary ideals of Malcolm X.
And what's the argument you're making at the bottom about prenatal aviation?
Right. So we want to discuss how sexism emerges in the black community. We say that with Malcolm X, like after his relationship with his black mother was severed and she was put in a sanity home after, you know, Malcolm X's father died and the government took Malcolm X away from his mother, it created a separation. What's up?
He's saying that's when he got hyped.
That's when he got.
That's when he turned up. When he was Detroit Red, when he was doing the sexual stuff, that's when he said he was separated from his mother. My question is where are there Detroit Reds that still have the connection with their mother? Because I know, just to bring it back to reality, out of philosophical, 2 blocks away from my house is a stroll. A stroll is where prostitutes walk, right? So I see the pimps all the time. I know the parents of the pimps. The parents of the pimps are in the home and very motherly. His sexism wasn't accounted on his mother. I'm asking, is everybody's sexism rooted within their mother?
The only argument that we're making is that the studying Malcolm X's life provides valuable insights into the, you know what I'm saying, the separation between the black man and his black mother, which is rooted in slavery. How, you know what I'm saying, they can never have that, you know, family relationship.
I think it's
because the slave has to
separate
the family.
Good. I mean,
what's the argument you making with the Anna Ricard about nigga affect being bad? What's the argument?
It discusses how what is deemed a nigga affect is always in response to white supremacy. The nigga affect is developed within, you know what I'm saying, modernity. So like what people think.
So with that being first off, it's on the question I'm gonna let you know right now. First off, you know that's not what nigga affect is, right?
I know.
But second or whatever, you say nigga affect is bad because it's always in opposition to the white, right?
The
nigga affect is bad because it's
the conclusion of your Judy evidence indicates that like it's aiming toward a like new category of human. We say you never get there. That the fungibility and commodification makes that impossible. That the only way to have any effective resistance or any solving structures is through Islam.
Wait. I gotta ask that.
Hey, hold on. You do know that you also wrong about the conclusion that Judy's coming to in the end of this article, right?
Let's debate it out.
I'm about to ask you a question. When at the end of the Judy article, when he's talking about the idea of nigga authenticity, he's talking about asking the existential question of what it means to be human. Right. How are you getting at that he's concluding with bringing up this new ontology of asking the ontological question of what it means to be human? How do you get to the conclusion that says he's trying to create?
Like you presumed it was an end to what we was talking about. Like it's just
the question of nigga authenticity is not a moral question, but about the very possibility of being human as an existential matter.
Yeah, you can start a prep time. I got a clarification question, just to clarify.
You gotta ask me because I need to smuggle with that.
I really need to know, like, y'all say Islam, right?
In its lineages to black resistance, they seek to sever that.
I really got, like, when you say Islam can set up good structures, I'm trying to understand how that is not redeemable.
It's a challenge to status quo structures. Like, look at the way in which there's an orientation toward, Muslims now, the way in which they demonize them, the clash of civilizations.
But it's to bring a good structure, what you just said.
It's to challenge existing dominant modes of structure.
Okay. What do you mean bring it? And Hakeem, you said a nigga affect is bad because it's in the system. What you said again?
is developed in the system of whiteness.
It's developed in the system of whiteness, and what does that mean exactly?
What I just said.
So
What's the system of whiteness you identified? In that context, what's the system of whiteness?
Right, we saying that like the way in which you position notions of fungibility and commodification happen within that process. Like the way in which you try to posit the notions of hip hop as like, you know, true like niggerdom, all that shit's like bullshit. You know what I mean? Like that's bullshit.
He's totally confused on what it is. Just gotta explain.
I end up saying anyway.
Yeah, like I said.
Well, if it come up, it come up. Yeah. Hey, is it any perm or anything they made? No. And it's just that nigga act fake is bad, and we also commodified. Yeah. Those are just two diss acts. Yeah. Is it right? Yeah.
That was a win term that you also commodified.
I got started late. I got 235 views. I think I started like 10 seconds later, something like that. So it's like, I guess that's 7 or 4.
What'd you use?
235. We got the math man right there. You ain't gonna do no math man. You got it.
I got you.
Ready, bro?
Yeah.
Let's go.
You see the time to use that? All right. That's the other one.
Oh, we good?
Doesn't count if you get.
Uh-oh. Messed up the flow.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready? Let's tie the experiences of Malcolm X to the ballot that commodifies blackness and experiences of Malcolm X that are not fungible until they're subjected to violence of transnational capital that reduces blackness to standing reserve. We should refuse to identify with the value structures of debate and what they identify as being this platform and affirmation that locks nigga being into to the performances of being a nigga that becomes a marketable object that limits the effective potential of niggas. And this is the extended piece of Judy evidence that's read in the 1 NC. First off, they cannot be beating my argument if they don't understand my argument. My argument does not simply shake down to fucking commodification. So when they say that we link to commodification or link to commodification, that's not going to become important. But to clear it up though, what Judy says is that when OG further points out how the process of consumer rap is a tantamount to the niggification of white suburban youth, he is doing more than remarking the inevitability of popular culture's dissemination. So I acknowledge that he's also remarking the equally inevitable loss of experience to the commodified affect. So this idea, if you talk about nigga affect being bad, first off, you don't know what nigga affect is. Nigga affect is not deliberate. I mean, nigga affect is not deliberative.
Hip hop is commodified. Nigga affect is not.
I can't tell you what nigga affect is. This is the constitutive effect that you get from it. So all this of them trying to identify, or I would say over-identify what it is or whatever, this is showing you how they lose because, like I said, nigga is an indeterminate identity. They overdetermine Malcolm X's identity, overdetermine the revolutionary tactics of Malcolm X, was showing you their movement fails. Now, if I could find a spot where truth echoes, I would stand there and whisper memories of my children's future. I would let their future dwell in my past so I might live a brighter now. Now is the essence of my domain. It contains all that was and will be. I am as I was and will be because I am and always will be that nigga. I am that nigga. I am that timeless nigga that swings on pendulums like vines through minds and booby trap minds that are enslaved by time. I'm like the Serpent Seas lifetime, I am. It was me with the Serpentine hair and a mortal stare with that mortal fairy and turned the mortal fairy to stone time capsules that still exist as the walking dead as I do. The original life of symbol matriarch and seven-head Medusa, I am. I am that nigga. I am that nigga. I am that nigga. I am a Negro. Yes, Negro. Negro from necro. Necro meaning death over cancer and angered after me. And I'll be spending death from behind putting kicking signs on his back because I'm the son of Shaclack Clack. I'm before that. I'm before death is eternity. After death is eternity, there's no death, there's only eternity. And I be riding the wings of eternity like, yeah. Shaclack clack. But my flight doesn't go undisturbed, see, because time makes dreams defer. And on my time is turning my nightmares relive, my nightmares returning my past. Shaclack clack. Time is beating my ass. And I'll be having these dreams of taco-covered watermelons filled with fried chicken like pinatas and little pygmy sons and dollars standing up under them with big sticks of aluminum foil, hitting them, trying to catch the pieces of all the fried chicken wings. And Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben are standing in the corners of the room with the praise one of the children. Don't shoot the children, I shout. Don't shoot the children. But they say it's too late. It's been affected by time. But I need more time. It's the children killing them. It's our shooting children and killing them. 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5, 6 by 6. My spirit is growing 7 by 7, faster than the speed of light. See, because light only penetrates darkness that's already there. And I'm already there. I'm here at the end of the road, which is the beginning of the road beyond time. Fuck where my niggas at. I'm telling you, my niggas are lost in time. My niggas are dying for their time. My niggas are serving unjust time. My niggas are dying. Because of time. Now, which one of y'all telling me y'all gonna be able to take that affect that I just gave y'all and put that on the ballot and make it where any of you white people in this room will be able to take that? My point exactly. Their attempt to ascribe value to Malcolm X's revolutionary ideas within the more economy of debate space commodifies the experiences of the Black Valley, especially to Malcolm X and Muslims that share us within the productive labor of the economy, within the productive labor economy of the ballot. This is Judy 94. According to Oxford English Dictionary, nigger belongs to the French negative, which, like the Spanish cognate Negro, was used early modern time to designate black people. It appears to have come into English through the Dutch. Sometime in the 16th century, by the 17th century, it appears that varying forms. In its earliest known literary reference in 1587, it was already associated was slavery. By the time it reaches the Virginia colony, it simply designates the black people as slave labor. The appellation also refers to the slave labor as property. Niggerdom as a designation of black people is, in general, those despised status. And that means it contempt to the poor black, or nigger as they call the scenes in the national sense of America. This is regarded as a belonging togetherness. The categories nigger and work. The association articulated in the American English. Nigger could mean exceptionally hard work because niggers, by definition, are labor commodities. A nigger is both productive labor and value, and a concept abstraction of exchange. The equivalent of a 3/5 or single unit representation of value. The value of the nigger is not the physical body itself, but the energy, the potential force the body contains. The force that the body, the force that the force is there in the nigger body and standing in reserve, as it were, for its owner to consume as he or she likes. Nigger is that thing. Understanding the thingness of the nigger is a contextual, is a context of knowing. A badder nigger from which is simply a nigger leads to consideration of the relationship between things and humans, which is a question of commodification. Whereas nigger, N-E-G-E-R, comes into English through the Dutch, already associated with the commodification of black people as labor, and hence a far more substantial Negro and a variant Negro, N-G-R-O-E, first occurred in the literary record of the annotations of the Spanish and Portuguese description of objective labor. Negroes, as humans, hence their capitalization in the terms, but does that mean the Negro was generally employed in a lowercase as a descriptive objective of color line between the 20th century when Booker T. Washington, among others, began to agitate for its capitalization as a positive racial designation, preferred over colored. Accordingly, Negro or Negro with a capital N was utilized to designate a human identity with its opposition to nigger, which designed to the commodity thing. So with the bottom of the Judy card is talking about the idea of Booker T. Washington trying to redeem what it meant to be a nigger. A Negro, and gave it a capital N. The argument we making in the 1NC is that they tried to redeem Malcolm X or El Haj Malik Shabazz within his space or whatever, which is totally not engaged with, because they're not understanding the argument in the 2AC, where it's saying that when you try to redeem Malcolm X through the system of affirmation, which was where I count 5 critics. And 4 of them is non-white. So I'm asking myself, as a matter of fact, Malcolm X told me in one of the videos I watched. He said, hold on, though. This is important, though. Malcolm X, I want to speak to Malcolm X. He began his speech off and said, hello, everyone, friends, enemies, this. He said, I'll be a fool not to acknowledge that I didn't have enemies in this room because I know they'll be here. So what does it mean you get targeted? When you get targeted. You get targeted. Literally, this is, you know what I'm saying, the actual, like, the type of narcissism that the black feminism are talking about, you know what I'm saying, that's happening within the movement or whatever. And two, we're gonna go there, folks, but listen, bro, you really gonna talk about, you know what I'm saying, the idea of, you know what I'm saying, how you fuck black women, this or whatever, and then all you say is protect black women? My understanding of black feminism is that's they beef with niggas. We always trying to help them, or we make it where our identity and peace on their autonomous being or whatever. I myself black feminism, now I want to be protected. That's actually they beef. You know what I'm saying? They have no autonomy within this. So I'm asking them, first one, this question I'm asking, how do black women fit in this movement? She's skeptical.
From there, going to the Huey shit.
And then the Jewish shit or whatever. Like, first off, Huey makes a distinction between revolutionary reaction and revolutionary suicide. You know what I'm saying? So we're not making that, saying that revolutionary suicide is bad or this, that, or the other. However, white supremacy wants the black body to be dead. So the idea of revolutionary suicide in context of the ass, you should question it. On top of that or whatever, that's the only answer I'm getting to engage in this Huey P. Newton's diss act. Folks, we want to talk about revolutionary suicide. We're talking about the idea that Huey P. Newton's talking about what held black people back. People freed Huey. The people freed Huey. Huey was like, well, damn, people got here, y'all was able to free me, y'all can free yourselves. The people was waiting for Huey to free them. My people are still waiting for Huey to free them. Now they trying to ask y'all to wait for Malcolm X to free us. It's about individuality, that's what we saying. The difference between being a nigga and nigga being. Fuck time, we saying individuality, right? So if I gotta be Malcolm X, I gotta be a nigga now. I can't be my nigga being. I'm George. I know it sounds like that, but it's bigger than that. I know the time is going out, but niggas don't care about time. You don't care about time. It's real. Real rap. Shout out to my niggas that's dead for time too, goddamn. Boosie free though. That's cool.
Why is it about individuality?
Why is it about individuality?
Yeah. It's a couple reasons.
Talk about the movement. My thing about the movement in the 60s or whatever, it wasn't just Malcolm X or whatever. It was the cultivation of Stokely Carmichael, Huey P. Newton,
Stokely Carmichael,
all these individuals who didn't adopt the revolutionary ideas.
Wait, you are aware that Stokely Carmichael, Rat Brown, Snake, all of these organizations were influenced by Malcolm X, the Black Panthers too.
So we can give off a whole bunch of examples.
And what I'm telling you is, or whatever, they didn't. It wasn't stuck to, you know what I'm saying, the 67, Huey P. Newton, the Bible said it wasn't stuck to the revolutionary tactics of
Why
Malcolm.
do you think we're stuck to some static Malcolm X when we say we want to continue his unfinished revolutionary project?
That ideology, this is the other part. Let me just
this
tell
is
the
the
other
argument
part.
getting us. Okay, this is a good part of the argument you're saying right now, though, that I'm saying about time, is this idea of it being unfinished, or you gotta start right here, start right there, or whatever. Like, time has always been used against niggas. As a matter of fact, in slavery, our bodies only define their relationship to work and how we use time.
All right, thank
that's
you.
why your
I have
concept
another
of time is
question.
fucked up.
I have another question. When you say that Malcolm X experiences can be commodified, why don't the experiences that Rashid spits in his rap, as well as you?
I get to it, bro.
Hold on, you said. But listen though. Just like, listen. The day when one of these people in here able to get
When
up
white
like
people are
Rashid,
laughing at you, is
I'll
that an
explain.
example of commodification?
Ain't nobody laughing at me, bro. Let's get that straight, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I
Second
that's
off,
semantics.
I don't care what they do. That's
That's
the
the
point.
question of
That's the
semantics,
point of our critique to the 1AC. You know what I'm saying? My individuality is my individuality. That's my affect. They laugh because I affected them. I can't determine whether they laugh or not. That's why you missed out on an argument you're gonna lose on.
Hold on.
You can't determine that.
Hold on.
You know what I'm
Judy,
saying?
So you can't determine
Judy
that at
Card,
all.
listen though, Judy Card would say that you talking about laughing and shit. That's an optical question. Behaviors, acts, modes of perception. Fuck all that. We're trying to ask the existential question of what it means to be human. Ontological.
Why isn't my speech an example of the nigga affect?
Cause you said it wasn't. It's Malcolm X.
Why isn't
You trying to-
Malcolm
hold
X?
on. Now,
Why
not
isn't
only that,
Malcolm
not
X a nigga affect?
First of all,
hold on.
Why are you trying to separate Malcolm X from being a nigga?
ain't nobody.
I got a little. Hold on, I'm about to answer your
Stop
argument. I'm about to answer your answer. I'm about to answer your question with straight offense. You made it in your last speech. You made a diss to nigga affect. Now you trying to make my nigga affect fungible and say, how come y'all ain't there too? But nigga affect bad though, right? But it's bad though, right? That's what you said. You said it's bad though, right? Now you trying to be it too. Don't try to make you fungible.
You don't
too,
understand.
though.
And you conflating what it means too.
Yeah,
And you conflating like we. You trying to act like
I'm
we
good on
going-
process.
Hey, I got. Hey, that's process right there. Oh, y'all done?
You go. Y'all taking prep?
No.
I mean, nope.
You fucking up time. That's how you see making y'all indecisive and determined, baby.
I really do.
A few seconds to pray.
Yes, sir. It's 14 seconds. They all sit back and feel this nigga affect, Hakeem. So many enemies, they probably got a nigga address. But look, that's cool. I went to school and I became an addict. A revolution creating solution, make white folks panic. See, ain't no empathy, niggas remember me. They might not remember East O, but they remember my energy. See, I get hyped though, probably lose it like lipo. So dedicated to not doing shit with these white folks. Hell of an intro. I'm speaking through these arguments at a hell of a tempo. You should mail them a memo. I swear this is supplement. Debaters be on some other shit. I'm just a little nigga and I got no faith in the government. Healing these wounds to this space. I'm on my doctor shit. We was promised 40 acres of mule. We never got the shit. See, it's relative flow probably tell you the only thing to represent, the only thing that the ballot represent is that they feel it. I say it's the truth. That's why niggas get in the booth. I've been doing this since I was teething. I'm probably missing the tooth. I'm just a nigga. I don't give a fuck who learn. I don't care if the dog's out. I don't care if the roof burn. I'm just a nigga. And I don't mean nothing to you because these white folks will probably get something. They can't get nothing from me, but probably get something from you. Fuck being a nigga, so I'm already tight. Because ain't about to do it first. It's about who did it right. I'm going to talk for 3 fundamental reasons to why you vote negative. And I'm going to make it clear for y'all so y'all understand the distinctions between the half and the half and the negative. The first thing is that they functionally said nothing about the next level. The next level was a crux. So I'm identifying all these different people, the UDLs, all these different niggas that can't strategize or revolutionize the same way that the one they see articulates. This lacking out of the next level shows that they can't be autonomous. They can't be in the way and access the individual arguments that George is making. When he says this individualism is the way that every subject needs to go. When Huey says that everybody can create the revolution for themselves. If they free me, they can free themselves. This idea that we always have to have a leader stops people from thinking that they are their own leader. It stops them from being a revolutionary in their own way. Instead of me looking at Malcolm X, I should be thinking that I am Malcolm X, that embodiment of me being those things, or I am a sense of a revolutionary that can come up with my own things. I'm not saying the specific strategy is going to be the same because my struggle ain't the same as Malcolm X. I'm not from Detroit. I wasn't pimping. I don't have those same ideologies. My mother wasn't singing to the crazy young. My daddy wasn't killed by the KKK. My daddy was shot by a black man. It shows you the distinctions between those struggles. You articulate the same things in the same way, meaning you don't account for those other people that have a different struggle. The other thing is the fact that they haven't code switched, meaning they can't account for those people. The only articulation that he gives even rapping is to say that hip hop is commodified. Identifying the chord, I mean, don't fucking shit. The chord identified that hip hop is commodified. When he talks about how the white audiences of the when I talk about how the white audiences of concerts is way more 70% white, about 30 black, and something else, it articulates how hip hop being commodified. It's not the ideology in which the chord is speaking to. When we say they can't answer our arguments and they don't understand it, we're saying that we already said it's commodified. Our affect is the way that we move through that commodification. When he said they laughing at you while you talking about that, I'm identifying how that laughing doesn't do anything for that system of commodification because they can't reveal, they can't reenact she, they can't do over me. They can read Islamophobia, they can talk about how Malcolm X, they can use him as a fungible object. Can't shit be used from a fungible object of how you feel this right now. That's that identification of how the ballot represents what's going on. The second thing is that when they talk about, oh, you want me to read this right here? I got you.
You get to it. It's all right. I know.
I got the author. O3 says the nigga destroys time. When Shaklak is identified time, he said we're not the image of the bridge between that space, that past and the future, but a radical form of the present because it's the undoing of social death. Judy's nigga is the subject who was extensive of the dependent upon the maintainer possession of being possessed by the mechanism of labor. Shaklak is the I am that nigga is the essence of my domain. It's the Williams of their orders, which is the angel of history. It's the nigga that storms in the progress of find the possibility of wreckage. It's a nigga that is the lowest common denominator. Shaklak seizes a president of the methods toward achieving the radically new boundaries. This is the slave process between the nigga that's a valueless. This possessions the machine that is going on and it uses the broken machines that have that truth of returns. Elijah Muhammad says, at the lack of knowledge himself keeps the black people minority, freedom, justice, and equality. He goes to describe the historical achievements of African peoples as connected to America through the specific theorizing of spiritual religious rhetoric. It is that self, which is the black subject, it is described and fully achieved through the adaptation of the falsely consciousness of religious doctrine. Orlando Patterson describes the alienation of the patriarchal fact, the native alienation of patriarchal factor of the slave economy in order to maintain the system. It is those that alienate through suffering regardless of the social dead and the black subject as a social death, and it seems to be the black body that threatens those things of assertion and reassertion of the invaluable social media. Other things to extend my E1 vote argument. When I said I live 2 blocks away from the stroller is where the prostitutes walk. My cousin happens to be one of those pimps. My auntie is a great mother. That ideology of that prenatal care to stop sexism, that's not stopping sexism from my cousin still perpetuate on those people down my block. It sees how that ideology is narrow when you say prenatal is the only way, it's a root cause to how you stop sexism. These are fundamental reasons why you vote negative. The other thing is that when they only talk about the ideologies within what they see in the affirmative, and never talk about the impacts I was talking about inside those speeches and the versions of the negative, means they functionally is a functional dissent of the what they see. When I'm talking about all these all the ideas of code switching and stuff, when I said the impacts of those things is that niggas always have war powers used against them. In my verses, you probably didn't catch it, but I'm gonna make it clear. The non-engagement to my verses and non-engagement to the alterity means he will always leave out somebody who comes from an opposite place. I totally agree. When he identifies Islam? He says Islam is African. I just said African is a continent, has thousands of languages and thousands of different religions. That overarchingly said that Islam is African, always dismissing somebody else as a different way. I am Kemetic. I understand how Islam functions, but me as an African do not spiritually talk the way the same way as they do. That's the same thing in Shaklak. Shaklak is an indeterminate identity. It's the way that we see those things. And created determinants, which makes you the fucking target, and COINTELPRO can fucking shoot down. That's the reason why you vote negative, because they haven't put in a position to where they prop up the system and they try to critique. It shows you why they say the plan and stuff in the United States, and we have a platform. It's always rooted aside some shit that can make you the redeemable subject that make Malcolm X good and not Detroit red, then it's everything that makes this shit go down. That's why you vote negative, because we the nigga in this space. Woo! I'm sorry, I stepped your clap. I was going. I said to finish my sentence. You know niggas don't care about time.
No problem.
Oh, come on.
It's gonna be, the case, the criticism, and then the one and all I have on the next sheet. Everybody good? They can see the top of the 2AC argument about how being black and going to jail is no different than being black in civil society because you're already dead. That means that you should vote for the best strategy solve for the systemic bodies that occurs to the black body. And the status quo, their strategy does not work the way in which they have this hypervisibility notion. There's a functional dissent around it. They have not properly dealt with the black body position with the libidinal economy of desire via fungibility, this unique performance in their speeches and instance of direct commodification, which should be rejected. Hartman in 97, Rankin was not alone, so desire slipped to black spiritual suffering. Slavery finished, so to speak, on the contrary, the popularity of Uncle Tom's Cabinet and the doctrine, in the case of the willingness of others to suffer too. Moreover, in this case, the fugitive capacity of blackness and the fungibility of commodity are directly linked. Therefore, the ability to put on blackness must be considered in the context of chattel slavery and the economy of enjoyment founded upon antebellum formations of pleasure. Even up the north need to be considered in relation to the effective dimensions of chattel slavery, since enjoyment is virtually unimaginable without the resource of the black body and subjugation of the captive, the diversion and endangerment by the disposition of the enslaved, the fantasies launched by the mere uses of the black body. For this reason, the formal features of this economy of pleasure and politics of enjoyment are considered to be are considered in regards to the literal and figurative occupation and possession of the body. This reading attempts to elucidate this means by which the one use of violence directed toward the black body to be identified as its pleasure and danger, that is the expectation of the slave poverty whose ontology is innate to the capacities of inner feelings of the enslaved, more of the description of access and enjoyment to the African faces of the violence perpetuated by against the enslaved. Despite these differences, their respective conversation, dialectic, stylistic devices, the uses made of black body established continuities between minstrelization and the melodrama that surpass their genetic differences. Although the ethical valence of such violence offers nonetheless delivered a significant pleasure. The blows caused by the virtuousness of the black body melodramas, esteemed and humiliated and grotesque black body minstrelization. This completely turns the whole negative position, indicates that when a positionary unique performance with the white gaze always leads to fungibility, because they said you can never take what's inside of me. The problem is they don't look at you, they look at themselves. They come show performance as a vehicle to which they can express themselves. That's why you'll see white boys have to round their head cut back to the fucking side, because they don't see you ever. That's the problem with the melodrama, which Hartman says is uniquely a reason to vote against them, because it opens up black flesh to the white gaze that always leads to nothing form of systemic violence. Also, they cross-body twisting out some pressure soft see that Islam is resistance strategy. They don't do enough history. Our evidence indicates that, first of all, that 10% of all Africans that came to the United States were Muslims, and that the class civilization debate that occurs in status quo is a construction. It's a way to demonize a resistance strategy that has been proven effective. There were slaves in a holds in which black body was made flesh. They used Islam to keep a chart of days through Ramadan, and they resisted on the 7th day of glory. So revolt is take over slave ships. They're taking over, and once they took over slave ships, they told the captain, take me to the land of black people. They denied this land vigorously because they could not believe that Islam was a revolutionary capacity to deconstruct these things. We have 100% solvency using Malcolm X as a vehicle in the land toward solving back against the structural violence that occurs in Chirac and also within the space. Now let's go to the criticism. First of all, they don't handle the performance that's operated within white supremacy. Hartman concludes this, but they also concede they concede our performance. That indicates that the performance and use of statics operate within a structure, i.e. the libidinal structure. That means no matter what, that the white gaze will always interpolate itself upon you. You do not have a will within the structure. They concede this argument. No new arguments about takes out any effectiveness of the strategy. Also concede the Dr. D certainly indicates that Islam is a revolution, has revolutionary potential because it formulates a resistance strategy that it allows people to understand one's history and most importantly provides a platform toward understand and fight back against commodification of blackness and overall systemic violence. Also another reason they lose around it. CEDA Jackson evidence indicates that Islam is the only way in which we can fight against the horrors of modernity for issues like patriarchy and sexism because it has a lens to evaluate those questions. Cross-applying Hakeem's analysis on natal alienation. They misunderstand it's not a question that you don't have your mother. The way in which white men use their masculinity on that of black bodies has a psychotic effect. So black men deem themselves masculine by the way in which they relate to women through masculinity. We need to look at the use of natal alienation, use of white men's position their masculinity on black women, the way in which white men also position their masculinity on our women. That's the way in which we try to use those same tools because that's what we deem as being a man. That's why we must look at the question of natal alienation. Malcolm X, through the lens of his life, allows that analysis. They partially conceded this because it exceeded the bottom portion of this argument. Also, they say we get commodified because we try to redeem Malcolm. No, we try to look at his life with all facets crossed by debauchery. Evidence in the case that there was multitudes of Malcolm. Most importantly, the last stage before he died was the stage in which he realized how Islam was just not a matter of solving racism and the instances of modernity towards here in the United States, but it had a global framework that it could be a revolutionary platform for a host of different oppressions. That's why he had interviews that said he was willing to work with any group that was willing to fight back against the horror, modernity, and way in which it had structured people in the society. That's why he was killed because that international platform is uniquely key. They don't access any of this shit, especially at the point which the melodrama takes out any instances of assault. They say we have a narcissism that's completely false. You are a narcissist. You look within your own self and think that you interpolate your own will, but the white gaze always co-opposites. They say we don't talk about women. Our unique analysis of natal alienation comes from a discussion of Malcolm life that includes females because that's the way in which black men through that psychology, through the psychoanalysis, the psycho-violence that it comes from. Natal alienation is one of the modes in which we relate to women. So it's important to question because that does lead to masculine patriarchy, which shows the uniqueness of the affirmative.
How much time we got now? Hey, what's the hold on right quick, man. All right, what up, George? Hey, what's the argument you making at the top when you're saying being going to jail in America? It's like being black in America.
Right.
Being born black in America, we already in jail.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so already commodified. Okay. Yeah, what's the card you make? What's the argument you making with the Herman card?
The melodrama argument.
Yeah, well, what is it?
It's just that the way in which you set the stage for a performance that is not of your own, and you suggest that it is, and it only.
That's like the seeing yourself. You only see yourself type shit.
Kinda like it's just like you never see yourself. They only see themselves through you, like which is the gratuitous nature of like the world.
Is it? Yeah, it is like close. I can't do the second.
when they say that America is already a prison for the black, this is a link to my argument about time and the argument I'm making in the one end, or what she's making in the one end, or with the AC argument. Not only are they not listening to the fact that nigga act like his way has been broke through the commodification, was been submerged through commodification. If you read any of my GDP evidence, everything is this whole link turn trying to make, well, you link to commodification too, then understanding if you do not know my argument, you cannot beat my argument. You are saying that you should affirm Malcolm X through the being part of the debate, and also the window down the argument to Africa just as Islam. This doesn't account for Eric Badu said in the one and see that you can't account for for a spirituality that makes us indeterminate. And also too, bro, the slave master went on the boat to ask the Africans, what's your religion? What's your religion? What's your religion? They ain't give a fuck. So this whole thing of saying that blacks was originally, you know what I'm saying, a Muslim or whatever, this over determines the identity for the Africans and showing how they link to the idea of commodification. We're showing you reason why you vote negative. And this stuff for West Georgia, this stuff that West Georgia is consumed with, Malcolm X, which the black and y'all non-black is supposed to find, is never described fully and can only be ascribed through the adoption of this false consciousness of this religion doctrine. Their idea of alienation, alienation is locked into a linear notion of time because I'm before that. Now this is my domain. They are locked into a linear notion of time, but see, the nigga destroys time. We're not a bridge between the past and future, but a radical form of present.
Destroys white patriarchy.
In the scores that or whatever, the affirmation of Malcolm X is that resurrection that will invigorate black lives with the social meaning that AC talking about. You vote neg because they are the fantasy of the non-alienated region, of the fantasy of a happy state of working body, the myth of a body which is liberated in a kind of work which destroys individuality. The binary of alienation and non-alienation misdirects the subject in assuming that the non-alienation is a desired space and subjective body and impeding the path of exploration and the promise of connectedness. And two, you still haven't come to grips with the argument I'm making with this Huey P. Newton. You literally make Malcolm X this you literally make Malcolm X
dominant
the middle of the
figure
movement.
get targeted
You prop
and
him up or
killed.
whatever. You prop him up or whatever. This is how Malcolm X gets assassinated because this prop him up of his politics, this prop him up of his identity, showing you how it gets crushed.
It doesn't allow for individual revolutions.
Oh yeah, no, that's the argument I'm making on their end too. The Hartman piece, the Hartman card, that melodrama stuff is not accounting for a nigga being. It's all about being a nigga, which they still haven't come to grips to. When I saw the Hartman evidence, it's all about blacks being identified in slavery, in slave chattel, and in mysticism. That is also another link to my argument I'm making about time. I think it's dying because of time. I think it's a lean because of time. That's the whole argument I'm making with the shit clack, and that's also something you should refer to. And into how they link to this idea of the white gays they talk about. First off, it's showing how they link into the idea of being, of being a nigga, because the nigga comes from double consciousness. The whole idea of this white gaze they talk about or whatever. The reason why it leaves me kind of baffled because it's like, damn. But you always supposed to be conscious of how you've been identified and how you identify yourself. That's what makes the nigga the nigga. And what you're showing you how they don't know come to grips to this. And to remember, she said, white folks probably get something from you. They don't get nothing from me. Remember you said that?
It's a trade-off with every code switch.
Not only they not code switch is showing you the type of education that they've been produced, not only that, the education they produce within their re-evocation of Malcolm X's revolutionary ideas, but it also brings up the indicative nation of what the indicative nation of what it means to be within their movement, because you only can be this very aesthetic notion. And then Islam is the only way. What about those, remember the next level? What about those UDL kids that Rashid's talking about in the block or whatever who don't have access to this idea of Islam because their whole community is Christian? You know what I'm saying? That's what we get into, talking about this idea of education and being inclusive. And two, you still I'm making an argument about how when Huey P. Newton said that the people freed Huey, and that's waiting on, you know what I'm saying, for Huey to free the people or whatever, like they literally lock us into a state of time, you know what I'm saying?
I always say that the stuff they talk about is commodified. When they talk about Islamophobia, white folks run that argument. When they talk about this, of how Malcolm X do, it's always used by white commodification. And talking about the redeemable subjects in society.
What's more important than that though, when they say the idea of us only looking at ourselves or whatever, this is also what's fucking up the indeterminate identity or the indeterminacy of the nigga or whatever. Because over-determining our relation to mothers, or over-determining our relationship to, you know what I'm saying, to the ballot or to them or whatever. And their attempt to ascribe value to Malcolm X within the moral economy of the debate space commodifies the expressions of black values, especially to Malcolm X within the critical love, within the collective labor economy of the ballot. They the forces there in the forces there in the nigger is standing in reserve. It's only for it's only for y'all to assume which is not revolutionary and a reason to vote nigger. Not only do they get commodified, but they attempt to commodify our nigger affect when they first make a diss at saying our nigger affect is bad, but then in the cross sex start saying, well shit, if y'all nigga affect, how come I ain't nigga affect too? This is the process of how they get locked into commodification by trying to co-opt literally what we talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because it flips it. And then
also the affirmative of the plan, the U.S.
The affirmation of the plan being still locked into the whole platform is locked into this libido economy of white supremacists that can't be critiquing the whole entire time. And then remember black women autonomy? Their idea of protecting black women is what imposes on the black women's autonomy and make it where they never able to come for solvency for themselves, the individual. That's why the individual was important, because it wasn't only Malcolm X that gave progression to black people. It was Malcolm, it was Martin, it was Stokely, it was Betty, it was the collectiveness, and they made no perms. So fuck all that shit. Remember I said niggas don't give a fuck about time? So really I don't care making arguments with somebody. Stop me. So really when you get to the next one or whatever, this whole thing about Dr. D shit, no, you are revealing your, like listen. Who enemies in here? Nobody raised their hand. Nobody never identified they the enemy. You revealed the whole strategy in front of the whole room, you know what I'm saying? But shit, you don't know what in this motherfucker. My niggas dying because of time. Remember that. When you making your shit and you signing that big neg ballot, you remember. It's time argument, there ain't no play on it.
You'll go 419.
Yeah.
Take an extra second.
Yo, George, what's code? What do you mean by code switch if we don't code switch?
Shit, the arguments that Rashid making in rap.
it would look like us create our own black schools and challenge the epistemological, war in the mind of the black body in the white educational system. This is why Malcolm X is valuable. They have no reason for why the revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X, you should not vote for them now. Go to the nigga affect argument. They conceded our argument that when it's perceived as a nigga affect, you know what I'm saying? You can see that you highlighted. Beginning where?
Oh, you start from up there. That's
First, you can see that blackness operationalizes within a larger structure that's a performative evidence, meaning within civil society, patriarchy is intrinsic to civil society. The formation of masculinity that comes from violence committed against men and women in mixed society, a man with abusive masculine violence too. You can see the highlighted argument, the importance of our via the stuff we're talking about in the community, the notion of protection, but consider our historical analysis on this question that we need a revolutionary strategy to deconstruct and be self-reflective via Islam on this question. Also, yes, black flesh is a commodity, but there is a unique, gratuitous vice in the way this happens, in which OUCL sets the stage for their performance. Extend Jackson that operates within the libidinal of white supremacy structure. More importantly, Harmon takes this out to the dramas presented during slavery that was only for white enjoyment, i.e. white people laughing at you. But the next level is the argument is that you do not have to be your own well during your performance. All you have to do is have the white gaze to digest your performance. You're right. They are not laughing at you. They are laughing as if they are you. They consume your story and your narrative, and it's called truth of radicalization of blackness, which is uniquely gratuitous advice that should be rejected. Moreover, important, this is only one directionality because we don't engage in the melodrama of the song and dance and claim sovereignty. We use a strategy as a unique value resistant modernity, and that's a revolutionary Islamic ideas of Malcolm X independent of reason to vote against this, the vote against the melodrama that they create now. When they say we're going to the particulars of the literary notion of time, like Jackson Evans already saw back for this because the Islamic revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X, that conception of time is very different than the sort of Western notion of time that they are critiquing within the status quo. So when they discuss the individuality, I'm surprised to hear this argument coming from you when you talk about the importance of committed spirituality, as if our individuality is in some Western liberal conflict or revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X. He talks about why we need a collective struggle against Malcolm X. Now, if you say, let's talk about this ridiculous argument that we prop up Malcolm X to crush him. Yes, he's right that when Malcolm X was giving his speech, he's talking about there are some enemies here, and I'm pretty sure some of you all in here are enemies. But that did not stop Malcolm X from giving his speech against white supremacy. He never said, because there's some enemies, I'm no longer going to speak in the same way for us. You know what I'm saying? When I prop myself up, yes, well, first of all, you need to be willing to die for a cause in the first place. So this idea that, you know what I'm saying, that the revolution is going to get crushed, that you're going to die, we have to be willing to put our lives on the line. And even Huey Newton discusses that in his book, Revolutionary Suicide. Okay, now let's go to this argument about the nigga. I think you misunderstood the evidence because what is he perceived or what is considered to be a nigga, I think that it still functions within where something as which a white supremacy created to be in the first place. Our piece of evidence particularly indicates that what is seen as the trace or the habits that black people have is rooted within the notions of modernity. Moreover, this is not a call for you to affirm Malcolm X, but only we call for you to study Malcolm X, and we endorse the revolutionary ideas of Malcolm X and continue this unfinished revolutionary project as a way to challenge modernity, as a way to challenge modernity. Now we make an argument that code switching, we don't address the particulars of his reps and the experience of his UDL debaters, meaning he is tying the issue of his UDL debaters to the ballot. That is a performative contradiction. It's no different than what they claim we do of tying Malcolm X's experience to the ballot. Malcolm X's experience to the ballot. Now when he discusses, some people don't have access to Islam. Yes, that's true. This is not, what I'm saying, everybody has to convert to Islam. All we say is that Malcolm X's revolutionary ideas, they even influence non-Muslim people, i.e. Stokely Carmichael, i.e. people like Marquise. The entire Black Panthers, Huey Newton, he got his inspiration from Malcolm X. He explicitly states that. So Malcolm X, his revolutionary ideas, it's interfaith. It influences multiple people.
One thing, they highlight the discussion of women in this community. We the only people who give correct analysis on the question of spillers and natal alienation and the way in which we deem masculinity coming from the way in which white men use dominance and violence.
When they say white people run Islamophobia, white people can be Muslims. When you talk about commodification, they can also spit bars just like yours. They can.
Oh, you never told me that.
Do you know the first name of the author?
Shermaine. Hakeem Jackson. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to read the book.
It's called The Third Resurrection.
Hardman, that's them.
That's not, and then,
I'm sorry.
no, I do want it, but I appreciate it. What do you agree or what is it?
At least you're receiving
All the other I'll highlight.
Thank you.
Which one? This one?
Three or four people lined up this weekend. Just put a little perspective.
Scary like this.
Thank you, Katya. That looked really good.
Nice to meet you.
But they in space, man. It was in space.
That's like what they do.
We don't know.
Great. You're welcome.
Okay. I got the charge right here. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah, but short.
Oh.
He went for a bit and then realized.
Yeah.
So Sarah texted me, tried checking. He's like, yeah, I'm watching these back now.
Yeah.
I see Judy and Badu.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was the song you started on the one scene? Alright, cool. I just do stuff like that. Is it pink?
He's gonna allow it.
The caffeinated is okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. There's
I ain't even do it. I ain't even see it.
Realized I was kicking it.
Oh, I bet it's just like here to hear our decisions and hear our conversation right now. It's really uncomfortable. Oh, shit.
It wasn't an issue in this debate, but I would see it easily being.
It's afternoon.
There's certain ways that's how No, they did it.
Is your pile going?
I do what you fan wrote it, so I'm reading it.
Do we have Paul?
He was just here.
Whose gummy bears are those?
It's gonna be a while, because, well, I mean, unless he cheats and comes here first, but his house in Waycrown has been out for a while, but I don't know if they can't find him, so they don't announce it until.
We have to wait for him.
Yeah, from like, at least starting today, I think, or we have the president come in and announce, like, it happened, let it be written, let it be done. So.
What? I want to know.
Yeah, it's also on the street.
What? Can't write it.
You gonna wait? Like, what's up? I gotta get somebody $5 for that? I ain't trying to all five birds. Yeah, I got 50. What's up? Everybody
That guy right there, he's got the balance.
You all just $5.
Congratulations on reaching the quarterfinals of CEDA. In this particular quarterfinal bracket, on a 3-2 decision, the winner is Oklahoma.
Yes! Is that on purpose? Video order?
Following decision.
Did he give you all? I voted affirmative in this debate. And I'll sort of two things in thinking about it. Short line is what I identify or what I understand as your offense you don't spend much time on as a reason to reject the affirmative method. And that is the propping up of Malcolm X, the individuality, the black feminism, sexuality, and the time. I think you spend far fewer resources, time there, and those are arguments that I think are that you've clearly identified as reasons why their method is bad. Affect and commodification, which is what I understand is the majority of the later part of the debate, I don't understand why it's a reason to vote against them. And I'll break that down right now. And so ultimately, I think the method is a good method. On affect, not sure on the impact to commodification or why commodification is a unique impact. It seems to be that both sides agree at some level that commodification is going to happen in this room, in all rooms, in all spaces. To me, what was profound for me in this debate was the understanding that affect is a way through that commodification. I agree with you all absolutely. That what I may hear and interpret, and that may help explain some of the 3-2 or what the audience hears, is different than what other people are going to hear. My white gaze is going to be different than what black bodies or others interpret in the on the affective level. And you were right in the 1AR when you looked at me and said, I felt part of what you were saying. And I think that's true, but I think that's true for all four of you in this debate. I felt part of what all four of you were saying at different levels and different than what others experience. And so I think you all need to play up a bigger part of that at some level there is affect in what you are doing. And I think this is where it got confusing for me, because I agree earlier in the debate, and I think that was a clarifying moment, they weren't, or I interpreted it along with you all, that it weren't sure that they wanted or didn't want to be on the side of affect. And initially said no, but it seemed to be backing off that afterwards. And so commodification is going to happen. Affect is the way to go through that. I agree with you that you're good. You all access that better. You're better at it. I think there was a moment earlier in the debate that I think should be later in the debate, which is all we have are, not all we have, but in the beginning of the debate, and this changes 1AR, 2AR, in the beginning of the debate we have a lot of cards, but not a lot of the affective, or not clearly affective, whereas you all have that throughout the debate. But I'm not sure, what is the impact to commodification? That's something that I don't get in this debate, and it could be that I don't feel it. It could be that it wasn't clear, And so I'm not sure why that in and of itself is a reason to vote against them in a world where everything gets commodified, in a world where there is some way to get through that commodification, and that's at an affective level. And then also this is an argument that to me sort of you cast as a tiebreaker, or to create a tie, not a tiebreaker, which is that there are a couple times where you're referencing Houston UDL debaters, and you're trying to enter that experience into the debate the same way that they are entering in the experiences of Malcolm X. And that may be different, but that's not something that you all ever respond to. And so that's where the stuff where I find the most of the debate on both sides on affect and commodification gets resolved in a way that doesn't help you, even though that's where a lot of the debate was. In terms of what I thought should be the focus of the debate, and was much earlier in the debate, but was less so at the end of the debate, was the propping up of Malcolm X. And you were right in the cross-X to get them at what does it mean to be a platform, what is the role of Malcolm X. But I had it pretty clearly from the answer to the cross-examination, if I can find it here in a second, which I think you said something like it's fluid. It's a living organism to combat the horrors of modernity. This understanding that it's not meant to be a point-by-point, he is this thing, but that we should read from it, we should learn and understand some things from it, and take it for what it can be for us. And I thought that was much more persuasive at the end of the debate when you're giving examples of all these people that took some of the principles, philosophies, experiences of Malcolm X and turned them into something for their own life. Would someone mind grabbing that door, please? Thank you. And so that's why, because I think you're pretty good on, I think you're better on the individuality part. I think there's still got to be some response to this notion of, because you have a bottom line, even if they win that, you have to be willing to sacrifice. Yes, we prop them up, but you got to be willing to sacrifice and to be a martyr and to die. And so if that's the expense of it, that's okay. The better impact or argument that I think you have is what it means is that it means that we individually can't see ourselves as Malcolm. And that's why I thought you were very persuasive in the 1R. I want to be me, I don't want to be Malcolm. And I think that's where you got to shift the focus of the debate in terms of impacting out why their method is bad. And again, it's one of those things where it's a matter of winning the spin game. I thought you all were ahead on the spin game in the middle part of the debate, and then sort of I thought allowed them to catch up and say, no, that's not what we're trying to do with Islam, with Malcolm X. And that's where I think they are able to get out a lot of your offense, like the propping up of Malcolm, like this notion of individuality, and then importantly on black feminism or sexuality, that it's what that meant for him and his life, and we're supposed to read that into our lives. And again, I thought you were persuasive on that. And not that your 2R was really, really, really good. It's just that there were, I think, a couple key elements that were missing. And then time. I don't have sort of a negative response to this notion of spirituality and how that busts open this conception of linear time. And so I think those are reasons why there isn't and I think you need to do more stuff saying why it's good. Most of this debate is saying, fending off from their offense, but there's not enough of why should Malcolm X be a good starting point? Why should, it's mostly saying, here's why he's not a bad starting point, which to me wins you a bunch of terminal defense in this debate, enough to take it out.
I joined Paul in the dissent, and rather than most of what he said I'm generally down with. I'll highlight a few other things that I think were significant. I don't give you all as much of a link to the commodification of Malcolm X's position. I think that they're fairly good on this question. That it's not about the man or the leader so much as it is about engaging a body of knowledge that needs to be used. And I think they're fairly strong in this position. I think that for me, a better way for you all to go about this debate is the black feminism angle. I think that there should be more of that earlier. Because there's a debate to be had, because you all are like, you don't include women, Islam, probably not good with, like, you all are making all these sorts of arguments, and they're like, no, we do that. And that's kind of all that, and this kind of happens through a debate. There's not much else there. And I think there's a lot of room for you all to do this. And I think that could be a a really good strategy for me because it's a reasonable question, but neither side's doing much there. So, but it's a debate to be had, and that's obviously a deep literature base, and there's stuff to say there. So, for me, that would be a way to go. I don't have much else to add in terms of what Paul said. I do think that on the question of starting point, for me, they're more convincing that they're taking a broader historical approach, which is probably marginally better than what you're doing. This isn't a significant part of the debate, but it's in there, and I'm persuaded that they're getting at a more complete, a longer view of history that's probably going to be better in the end. And I think they do that with some of the narrative that they read, with kind of contextualizing Malcolm in his time.
Because you understand it as like the analysis on Islam as being like a further down the historical. When I was talking about Kemet, I kind of assumed that y'all would know Kemet was like the first civilization in Africa.
Sure.
So it's further than Islam. But I see why I did. I'm assuming y'all got some, yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, it makes sense. No, it makes sense.
One recommendation that
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
When you said the part on, you did on the impact to Malcolm X and stuff, and maybe it just wasn't fleshed out as well. When we was talking about this as a COINTELPRO, did you think that was a good way of going about how like the, not necessarily outing, but the propping up of like a man always comes at in the Huey examples of like how when we look at the man we never see ourselves.
I think that's the better part of it. We don't see ourselves. I think a different way to frame the other thing is not that they will get killed, because I think that they're saying that's okay. You got to put your life on the line.
Right.
But by putting but by putting someone out there, what it does is it allows not just the killing, but it's the gathering of intelligence, the infiltrating, the co-optation.
Because they can't kill the body of knowledge, they can kill the person.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a better way to frame that part of it. I still think stronger than that is that we don't see ourselves as those agents.
Yeah,
and it could even be just a simple trade-off issue. Like, even if you're right that that's not the focus, everyone's focused on them, so it's just a simple trade-off. One recommendation, I really like the explanation of Malcolm X as a starting point because collapsing binaries. I think that's a reason to say this is offense. Not just he's not bad or his life or works aren't bad, but this is a reason why this is a good starting point.
I think one thing you might want to do about the propping up argument is that should feed into the black feminist argument. Like you say Malcolm, like, and then like you drop Betty's name once, but like what about Angela? What about Asada?
Yeah,
and I think
was
there's
thinking that the whole time, and I was just trying to contextualize the next
right.
stuff. Like, I should. I was about to.
Do you mind if I go first? Okay. I want to go first because I think I'm probably the swing vote in all this, in the sense that this is a set of arguments that I'm not particularly familiar with. So, for instance, concepts like libidinal economy, the idea of affect, are unfamiliar to me. For example, the terms performance, melodrama, and affect seem to me like they're used interchangeably, but that's probably a very oversimplified understanding of the concept of affect. I had to look up the word interpolated. Overdetermined is used in a way consistently that I'm not familiar with. And I'm uncomfortable in these kinds of situations reading all of the cards because I feel like if I did, my decision would be 90% a reconstruction of the debate. So that being said, the general problem for me is I don't know what the goal or the endpoint of all of this is. I don't know if I should be concerned about personal or communal issues, if it's about being effective or being accessible. I don't know if the goal is resistance or realization or dismantling, destroying, empowering, revealing, transcending. All these words are used. And I don't know if it's for who, if it's for the debaters, if it's for the general black community, if it's for the black Muslim community, the entire Muslim community. And so not knowing the answers to all of these questions makes it really difficult for me to evaluate competing strategies because I don't know who I should care about more and what they're supposed to be doing. In general, I think that the 1NR and 1AR were a lot clearer for me than the 2NR and the 2AR. But my decision kind of comes down to the fact that I feel like the affirmative is much more about Malcolm X's experiences than the ideas of Islam until the end of the debate. And so the two things that I vote on is I think that the connection between Malcolm X's experiences, both throughout his life and also in his interpersonal relations, the connection between that and the ballot seems more obvious obviously an instance of resistance strategies being interpolated by whiteness or embedded in a libidinal economy than the way that performance or affect is interpreted or used or affected by white audiences. The second thing is the Huey argument, which I would have liked more of in the 2NR, the argument about the leader being centralizing the leader as being disempowering to the people. That seems to me like an internal link turn to the idea that we should transcend or have an ontological resurrection because we're within these various structures of oppression. I wish those two arguments had been compared in the 2NR. Can I just finish? I have one more thing. I really like the argument in the 1AR, and I wish it had been in the 2AR, that at the end of his life, Malcolm X was more about the context of a global or international platform. And if you had described that as a reason why putting Malcolm X's experiences and ideas central in the movement or resistance or whatever is accessible to or useful for a larger audience, to me that could have been a potential tiebreaker between the idea of personal affect or use of affect being able to overcome commodification, but having an accessible set of ideas that can be used by a larger set of people, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to ask, why do you think Malcolm X's experiences could, feed into the liberal economy, but not there? Like when you were talking about, Carlos and UDL debaters, and I tried to link that also to that. Why did you, I guess, say that Malcolm X's experiences could be commodified, but not the ones they were given?
Yeah, I figured you would ask that question. And actually, to be honest, I don't have the experiences of the UDL debaters on my flow. I don't remember them being a central part of his speech. I was paying attention and writing shit down, so.
They were in the songs like UDL, my boy Carlos, how Carlos was shot.
I didn't know that Carlos was I thought that was his experiences and his experiences dealing with that happening to Carlos. That's how I interpreted that.
And I'll just say real quick, I'm with Beth on that. I didn't know where it came into the debate, but you said it, we didn't do it, so I just assumed it was.
I understand. Let me just say it.
Did y'all read the spit about Carlos and the UD? I feel like no one spits that I know. I remember the
Carlos
Dion.
Spit are two different spits.
And I heard you refer to Dion and a couple other people.
Yeah, Dion was a different spit. Carlos is my Crip cousin. That was I had all the impact stuff. So that was when I was talking about you know what I'm saying, the domestic stuff, those people who don't see Islam in front of their face, how they, you know what I'm saying, see themselves as getting down to oppressors.
Yeah, I wrote down my cousin, my street, but I didn't have somebody else's UDL
UDL was
experience.
next level. Next level was just talking about the experience part is only talking about the different education that everybody comes from, and how I have an individual way of doing it. So this goes back to where I said Malcolm X's dad got killed by KKK. My dad got killed by another black man. So we can't go against the same structures.
On the question of commodification, via the reading of the Hartman evidence, how does that flow negative? How did you take Hartman into account in the commodification?
I didn't read the Hartman evidence.
Why not?
Because I felt like I would be reconstructing the debate if I read all this evidence.
The evidence, but I give it.
I listened to the arguments. I wrote them down.
Yeah, and it's consistent with the evidence.
Okay. Oh, so this is the argument about opacity and fungibility.
Sure, but the melodrama which you referenced at the top.
Yeah. I don't know if. I guess this is an issue of melodrama and affect and whether or not those are interchangeable. He's saying that he's not melodrama.
Right, and I give an example. They laughed in the room, you just stated, all of this violence, all these bad things happen.
Yeah, so this
it's just this moment of laughter, ha ha ha, let's make some jokes.
And
that's uniquely gratuitous and a unique instance of fungibility. Now, I haven't heard that talked about at all.
Unique instance of fungibility, uniquely gratuitous. I guess
chime in right there.
I guess I don't get.
The response that I think is the most compelling to me on the CEDA Hartman question is the moment in the 2NR where Rashid is y'all have dealt a whole lot with what it means to be a nigga and what that means and the implications of white gaze on being a nigga, but not necessarily on nigga being. So if somebody laughs at me, do you? I'm going to still come up here and do that because you're automatically going to interpolate, grapple with, internalize my existence and my performance how you're going to want to anyway. So that's kind of the mediation of that I felt.
Yeah, that makes sense, but then in a 1AR, I preempt this. I know they're going to go in that direction, so I say, it's not that when they laugh, it's not it's uniquely bad because you are positioning in this space and they vision themselves within you. It's you're not even you anymore. It's as they're laughing, they assume themselves within your narrative.
I guess
then
for me,
I
don't
example
know.
Of white dude with his hat cocked back, what up, bro? Like, that was some good shit, you know what I mean? As if they lived the shit he talking about. Like, that's uniquely bad.
I guess in the case of the laughter, I don't know how to determine whether or not that's true.
They didn't answer that component. What do you mean you'll not determine if it was true?
I feel like that. I don't want to like.
No, go ahead.
I just feel like that is almost a tertiary concern for me in the entire discussion about the overdetermination of niggas. Like that, how people confront in terms of actually laughing, like the affectual response of laughing to somebody else's affect, to me is a concern that can only be grappled with if I deal with the like larger level implications of the overdetermination of niggas and what it means to prop up somebody, for example, vis-a-vis Malcolm X, and what it means when we look to that particular person as an example or as a template for how it is that we do other stuff or whatever. And I think it'll make more sense if I contextualize it in terms of the way I made my decision.
Oh.
But I just felt like that conversation about the CEDA Hartman evidence, your preemptive argument and what he said or whatever were kind of wrapped up in a bigger conversation I think y'all mishandled throughout the debate.
But see, I can't. Honestly, okay.
But that's me inferring in the middle of her decision, so it might not make sense.
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay.
You can finish.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I ended up dealing with a whole lot of the debate. I think, interestingly, the debate in the block becomes more robust for me on this question because I think there's a forced question of whether edifying one person as a leader of a resolution is necessary to transcend an orientation or challenge what we understand to be white supremacy, and then B, acquire a revolutionary method that grapples with the experiences of those young people in Chirac that y'all talk about in the 1AC, right? I'm still linking all this back to the isolated community that you talk about and how it is that they will grapple with a figure being edified in their communities and whether or not they can then go and establish their own methodology of resistance that may not align with the Islamic beliefs or the Islamic faith that Malcolm X had or anything else that entails that was a part of the conversation that I missed. I'm trying to tie everything that happened back to I understand, and you was like different people, you know, he specifically made a speech about the fact that different people can access those methodologies or whatever.
When I was talking about like some of the revolutionary ideas about the black businesses, I gave like specific strategies, like how does that?
He talked about me, like I'm not a Muslim, and I still rock with him on this shit because it's real.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
I just was not compelled nearly as much as I think Paul or Nick were by you all's arguments that the propping up of Malcolm X was not kind of the end-all, be-all. I wasn't just convinced that wasn't the end-all, be-all of it. Like, we have this interesting conversation about martyrdom, and Hakeem, you put your foot on the gas, like, so you shouldn't die for what you believe in, you ain't gonna die, you ain't gonna ride out. And I feel like that starts to really frame for me just where you all place Malcolm X in terms of looking to a leader or looking to a particular template to then, you know, kind of manifest how it is that you deal with things like structural violence, what's happening inside of Chirac. That's why it is that I'm just not nearly as convinced. I'm not saying you don't have answers or don't in places kind of grapple with that, or maybe even in 2AR grapple with that, but I'm saying throughout the debate, the way the arguments developed, I still feel like I'm not compelled by the idea that propping up Malcolm X necessarily gives the black people that they talk about, the experiences they talk about, the different diverse backgrounds they talk about, a way to access the methodology that is not solely predicated, number one, on Malcolm X as a figure that's being propped up, or two, the implications of Islam that they necessarily just don't identify with. I'm just not getting enough of that debate for me to just be like,
the last speech I heard.
So the Jackson evidence, like
What
what Islam, like the slave
is that
rebellions.
the fitna evidence? Is that one? The one that
yeah.
talks about that, Jackson?
Okay, yeah, the rebellions, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's good, but I think there needs to be more of that. That's part of. Do you mind if I just jump over here? Part of big picture wise that I make my decision is I think there is you somewhat lose sight of Malcolm X and the practices of Islam in the 2AC and the 1AR, just in specific applications. And so what I have is a broad assertion of carrying on the work of Malcolm X, but I don't know what exactly that means in particular instances. I think the Jackson evidence is good and that there needs to be more of that. But I don't have it being extended as fitna and what that means and what I do with it. Specifically, I think that they are winning that affect has a lot of potential for allowing me to resolve some of the things of the affirmative. While you explain that Islam is good and sufficient to resolve a lot of particular things, there's not really a reason why it is necessary. And so I think that there is a chance that their political strategy might be able to resolve a lot of the tension that existing and why we try to have Islam and why that's advocated. They're effective politics. Effective.
Like, how does that resolve? I guess why is that that beneficial?
Because it allows me to question and avoid participating in the libidinal economy because I question definition what authenticity means, and it allows me to then become affected by the part in the 2 and C, I think, where they say I am before, where they make this performance and they say here is my affect, and they literally do it. That is something that I am affected by. I think that it is something that I think is powerful, and that is performatively something that they are saying is distinct from some stuff that you do. They say you do not code switch. They say you do not engage in their particular types of politics, and they make this distinction. I don't think
powerfulness, how it affected you.
Yeah.
Why is
There's
it
a link to the Hartman evidence. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But I think that was powerful. I think that was good, and it's something that I think that they do. I think that your argument, let's see, I think that you should be making the link turn argument that you hint at times early in the debate round, but not really go all in on, that you are affected by things, which is what you, or by Islam and by Malcolm X, or Malcolm X is someone that also was affected by things, which is what your examples are with his, what he did, and then he went to prison, and then he did this, but it's not being phrased as a link turn for why you access their political strategy as well, and doing it in terms of like a permutation about why these two things are simultaneous. I think that this is really easy, considering that there's somewhat a method for how we do things, which is like, you know, through narrative events and through relational politics like that, whereas yours is kind of a content argument about Islam. I think that that is ripe for a permutation, and that combining the affective arguments of form with the content of Islam would be a nice way to package it, but I don't have that being made and being sold to me in that aspect. Now, the Hartman debate, few problems here. One is that I think that it is inevitable in some ways, and that given that it is inevitable, I should be engaging in it and trying to work through it. I think that...
How is it inevitable when you literally just said that performance like affects you? Like, yo, man, it was just really powerful. I felt it.
Right.
How is that inevitable?
That you do it too.
There's a unique way. Like, I point out like specific instances. Like, and I do it like subconsciously. I know that shit does not resolve shit. That's the argument. Like, I'm not positioned to say, oh yeah, and this resolves, you know, the way in which we're positioned in civil society.
What shit don't resolve shit?
Like the affect, like I'm saying, like even if that's how you feel when I do it, I'm saying that that is not good. I would never say that that is some type of, like, that's an ontological like thing. I would never say that it has solvency. That's
I guess
the fundamental difference. I'm saying that shit is bad.
I don't see why that is...
It might be inevitable, but they endorse it.
Yeah.
That's the gratuitousness of it.
I don't get why it doesn't...
laughing at you and they feel you and
Okay.
interpolate upon you, that shit is okay. That's what she's saying.
I don't think people... Okay, first off, I don't think people are laughing at him. I think that this is something that they're winning the spin on this. That what they are... Yeah, that this isn't an enjoyment thing that people are getting out of it. That the type of feel-good politics, and I don't think that that's the fungibility of black bodies that the evidence is talking about. I think that what they are doing is working through that, and that the way that they are presenting this is not one that I think is sufficiently linked to that evidence. Or at least if it does, then it links to you as well. Because
That's what I thought. I'm thinking it links, like when they read like the commodification, both of that,
right.
In terms of just commodification, that both of us. So why is that? Why can't the affect also be like commodified?
I think that they are saying it works through it for whatever reason.
Why does it work through commodification? How does it overcome commodification?
I think that the unique instance in which it was performed was not one that was... I don't know what being commodified means in that aspect, though. I do know that it was positive, I think, in the way that I'm relating to it. And the way that I see it is that that was a positive form of politics. I don't see it as negative, and I don't think that you are necessarily accessing that because, one, I don't think that you're performing, and two, if I do think that these things do get commodified, I don't know why you are not also getting commodified as well.
I don't think we performing. And you just said that's how we link to the Hartman evidence. And that's why it's neutral. You just said I don't think we perform.
Yeah.
That's the distinction. That's the reason they link more to the melodrama, which is the reason you should pull the trigger on Hartman. Because that's a unique, gratuitous instance.
I still think, no, I think that if it does link to them, it links to you as well.
I had more time to explain it, man, because I understand his frustration.
Yeah, that's how
I understand it, but I wish I could explain it more because it's just like it's so narrow right now. You know what I'm saying? Just seems like if they feel something, it's automatically gonna be bad. You know, it's like nah, that's little.
It's at least 5 levels to this argument. It's just not. It's not like, it's feel good. That's not.
I mean,
no, I understand that.
I just want to say that for me, it's relevant if there's a set of arguments that I don't understand. If I'm evaluating the debate as a whole, I'm not going to make myself understand something that I didn't 2 hours after a debate. So I understand that this is frustrating and that you can think that I or others on the panel are stupid, but you can't think that we're biased. I mean, you can only get so
I'm just
mad.
saying, like, the default decision is problematic. Like, even if you feel that way,
I mean,
like
it's
the
not
way
a
you
default.
fall, you just said, I didn't read evidence. I'm not sure what happened. But
Right,
I'm going to
because
pull the trigger.
I voted on the arguments that I understood that made sense to me as link turns to your solvency claims.
I think she's speaking more to the responsibility of people who are articulating works of other people that you spend and put to. Because I mean, personally, like my flow was in shambles. Like I don't know about nobody else, but it's not like everything was just crystal clear in terms of organization and setting stuff up and putting whatever in terms of the debate. Like things just kind of got muddy and murky or whatever, which is why I think there was such an ethos and contextual and content shift in terms of the arguments that were being made and going for at the beginning of the debate and what happened at the end of the debate. So it wasn't just neatly kind of characterized and set up the way that it sounds like you're saying it. That may not be what you're intending. I'm telling you what it sounds like.
I just think it's good to read evidence.
Well,
It's
that's
not
what
going to restructure the debate.
Yeah.
You don't want
Well,
to
you
read
shouldn't do that
that
when you read evidence. It should be put in the context of things I said.
For me, it just worked out similar thing, but it worked out against them and in favor of you, like the commodification stuff, right? I put it together the best I could. I didn't understand parts of it, at least what I thought you wanted me to understand.
It went that way.
And it went that way.
Yeah.
And that's where I agree. It is in part responsibility that it's both, and it's responsibility of us to be here and to listen openly, and also on you all to do your best explaining it. And there are some things and I think it was you who said it, that it's about where you put things in a speech, and this is important in terms of.
Yeah, that's why I understood y'all did.
And then sometimes we'll go over it, and then like.
If it's one small thing here, someone picks it up. But if it's one big thing at the top, ideally everybody picks it up.
Yeah, I understood that. I don't know who said it, but the 1NR and the 1AR being the best speeches, and the 2NR and the 2AR kind of just shaking down and being everywhere. I'm walking out the room. I actually tell him like, man, Marquise, bro, me, your partner, and I fucked up for my partner. The last two speeches not being good, we putting it in y'all hands. I'm already knowing that all 5 of the decisions was gonna shake down. Well, this is how I seen the debate. Not like this is how you should see the debate. I'm understanding that nobody did that, so I'm understanding like the frustration on their side and even the frustration on our side. I'm like, damn, we want it all up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm understanding that we like both sides didn't articulate an understanding of how the debate should be understood.
And I know full picture ass deal like that. I'm just gonna roll with it. You know what I'm saying? So,
I understand that.
It's like I didn't even hear the Kimmett analysis, and I'm aware. I know what that's about. I just didn't get it. Like,
I didn't explain it.
Oh,
it was like that. I wish I could explain that part. I wish I could explain that.
In regular debates, like outside of like this type of debate, like
this is a regular debate,
right? Okay, wait. When you don't understand, like I guess other concepts, when it's like a politics kind of plan,
I don't.
Do you
typically
not read the cards?
No, it's in my judging philosophy. If you read it, that I rarely read cards, and I only do it if there's a dispute about the content of the evidence.
You didn't think it was a dispute about the content of Hartman in relation to black fungibility of the flesh?
I mean, there wasn't an open disagreement about the conclusion of the text that I'm aware of between the 2NR and the 2AR, no. I mean, like, you can look at my flow. It's not like I wasn't listening. If I didn't get it, it's not.
It's all good.
I understand my man was
So, I mean,
it's not like
I can understand your frustration. I think one way to potentially solve it.
Because, like, in the grander scheme of what everybody's saying, it was probably a close debate. And that the closeness of it could be a positive thing or a negative thing, depending on who you ask and what part of the debate you're asking about. But it wasn't nearly as one-sided, obscured as I think you want to make it sound like it.
I think it would have helped me a lot if there were, I hate to say use more jargon, but like a clear argument about the role of the ballot. Like I really liked the 1NR that was divided into 3 separate DAs, so I knew how to organize all the detail line by line on my flow. So more of that I think can. I just think more of that can help avoid this situation.
Great tournament. Yeah. Good luck at the NDT.
Yeah.
Good luck to y'all and Demi.
Yeah, good luck, folks.
Yeah, bro. You voted in your shorthand, though. You didn't put it in the language for me to do it, bro. I'm sorry. No, how you set me up every time. You set me up every time.
Thanks. Thank you.
now, you know what I'm saying, where I wanted to, because y'all just covered like so much shit. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Mutually reinforcing that.
I'm trying to like, I see your shit, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I just rock it the best I can, you know what I'm saying?
That's how the algorithm shit is. You don't have to feel good at the end. That shit is. Yeah, I think feel good. The right thing gonna go for it. Like, I think the same makes sense, you know.
I think the same way.
She asked for more. She asked for more.
It is a question. I wouldn't think about it like that. Now I'm feeling good and still kind of feeling they talk. I would think about it like that. I mean, it's just like now I'm feeling good. The sadness is still a feeling. Scared, you know what I'm saying?
So y'all don't have to wait next round. So won't y'all read it?
Let's go.
I know that it's a somewhat shallow reading of Hartman that I'm as far as what I'm looking into it on the debate. I've read the evidence a lot in other rounds and stuff. I'm pretty familiar with it, but I think it does need to be in the 2AC, and then a lot more of that explanation will come out, and at least that you'll convince the other judges. I think, I mean, given that it is the answer to this, it is the answer to their argument, like the best answer that you have.